friends. Welcome back to the home stretch. We are bringing you clarity to the world of real estate and lending with a little fun and caffeine mixed in. I'm Nina Soden with the Soden Team here in North Alabama.
And I'm Kat Frisby with Victorian Finance. Whether you're buying, selling, or just dreaming, we've got you covered. And today's episode is especially for the first time home buyers out there.
That's right. We are debunking the biggest myths that keep people stuck in someday mode when it comes to buying their first home.
Yep, because we hear all the time, I need 20% down, or I have to have perfect credit, or my favorite is it's cheaper to rent anyway.
Ooh, that last one. We'll definitely be talking about that. So let's jump in and bust some myths. Myth number one, you need a 20% down payment to buy a home. This is probably the most common myth I hear from first time home buyers. And I get it. 20% sounds like a lot of money, especially if you're just getting started.
Totally. But here's the truth, you do not need 20% down. In fact, most first time homebuyers put down far less. There are programs with as little as 3% down and even have some zero down options depending on your situation.
Like VA loans for veterans and USDA loans in rural areas, right?
Exactly. And even if you don't qualify for one of those, a 3 or 5% down on conventional or an FHA loan with 3.5% down is way more doable than people realize.
And you know what else? In some cases, you can even get down payment assistance through local and state programs. So don't count yourself out just because your savings account isn't bursting with cash.
All right, on to myth number two. You have to have perfect credit. This one gets people every time. Look, yes, credit does matter, but you don't need an 800 credit score to buy a home.
What's the minimum credit score that people should shoot for?
So technically, FHA allows credit scores as low as 580 with the 3.5% down. Conventional loans usually start around 620. That said, the better your score, the better your rate and terms. But don't let the less than perfect credit score stop you from having a conversation.
And you help people build better credit and improve their credit, right?
All the time. I love helping folks put together a plan, whether you're 3 months out or 12 months out. Let's talk now, not just when you think you're ready. It's never too early to start the process.
Okay. Myth number three, it is cheaper to rent than to buy. Oh, this one is a hot topic, especially with interest rates doing what they are doing right now.
Totally. And look, renting isn't always the wrong move, but over time, owning builds equity, while renting builds your landlord's wealth and equity.
Exactly. Even with higher rates, if you're planning to stay put for a few years, 5, 10 years, buying can put you in a stronger position financially.
Plus, rent prices aren't fixed, they go up year after year. With a fixed rate mortgage, your monthly payment stays the same and you're investing in your future.
Okay, let me just touch on that fact that you just said. Rental rates go up year after year. My daughter is in college and has an apartment near campus. When we signed her lease, they flat out told me that if she remains in the apartment after the term of the lease, the rent will guaranteed increase at least 500, or I'm sorry, at least 50 to $100 per person
Wow,
per year.
that's crazy.
Every year.
But at least they were honest with you up front.
Yeah. Okay, true. Okay. Back to purchasing a home. Not only are you investing in your future, you are building an asset. And even if you sell in 5 years, that's 5 years of equity you wouldn't have if you had been a renter.
Exactly. All right. So, myth number four, the process is too complicated. Okay. Yes, it can feel very overwhelming, but that's why you have a team.
That's right. And you don't have to know everything, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. I guide my buyers through each step from showings to offers to inspections. And Kat is right there handling the financing side.
And we actually talk to each other, which makes
Yeah.
your transaction smoother. We're on your team and we want to make this as stress free as possible.
So don't let fear or confusion keep you from taking your first step. All right, myth number 5. You should wait until the market crashes. This one cracks me up because if we could predict the market, we would both be on a beach somewhere sipping wine or some other type of cocktail.
Exactly. So, look, the market moves in cycles, but timing the perfect moment rarely works. A better approach is to buy when it makes sense for your life, not just what the news headlines are saying.
Yeah. If you're financially stable, you've got some savings, and you're tired of renting, it might be your time, regardless of rates or prices.
And remember, you can always refinance if rates come down later, but you can't go back and buy a home at last year's price.
Okay, Kat, can you do a quick recap of the myths we just busted?
Yes, of course. So you don't need 20% down. You don't need perfect credits. Buying can be smarter than renting, even in today's market. The process isn't as scary as it seems. With the right people on your team, and waiting for a crash could mean missing out on real opportunities now.
So, if you've been sitting on the sidelines thinking home ownership is out of reach, we're here to tell you it might be closer than you think.
Let's start with a conversation. Reach out to Nina if you want to start looking at homes or learn about your local market. And if you want to know what you really qualify for, give me a shout.
We'll meet you where you are. No pressure, no judgment, just real guidance from two ladies who do this every single day.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in to the home stretch. If you liked today's episode, share it with a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.
And speaking of what's next, our next episode is going to be a good one. The home inspection deep dive, one of my favorite topics. What buyers and sellers need to know.
Oh, yes, we have seen it all.
Mhm.
Don't miss it.
All right, y'all.